does Prince Harry believe the royal family betrayed his mother, Princess Diana? Throughout the years, Harry has spoken openly about how the monarchy failed to support Diana during her most challenging moments. From ignoring her pleas for help to restricting her freedom, the royal family's actions, or lack thereof, left a lasting impact on both Diana and her son. In this video, we'll explore 12 ways Prince Harry believes his mother was betrayed by the very institution she was a part of. You'll discover how these actions affected Diana and why Harry continues to speak out about the injustices she faced. Now, let's get into the heart of the matter. Number 1. Lack of emotional support. Prince Harry believes one of the greatest betrayals his mother, Princess Diana, faced from the royal family was their lack of emotional support. He has often shared how Diana struggled with her mental health, particularly as she dealt with the immense pressures of royal life. Yet, instead of receiving the care and understanding she needed, Diana was left to cope alone. The royal family, known for its emphasis on duty and maintaining a stiff upper lip, didn't offer her the emotional help she needed during her toughest times. According to Harry, this neglect left his mother feeling isolated and unsupported, despite being surrounded by the most powerful family in the country. For someone constantly in the public eye and facing relentless scrutiny, the absence of emotional care only added to her struggles. Harry has said it was heartbreaking to witness his mother endure so much without the help she truly needed from her family. This lack of emotional support is something Harry has carried with him, shaping his view of the royal family. He believes it wasn't just a personal failure, but a failure of the institution as a whole, leading to his mother's deep sense of loneliness. Harry has drawn parallels between Diana's experience and his own, often speaking about how the royal institution prioritizes its image over the well-being of its members. Number 2. Ignoring her pleas for help. Princess Diana's repeated pleas for help were often met with silence or outright dismissal from the royal family. According to Prince Harry, this is one of the most painful betrayals his mother faced. Diana, who was struggling with her mental health and the overwhelming pressures of royal life, reached out to those around her for support. She sought understanding, compassion, and some form of relief from the weight she was carrying. But instead, she was left to manage it all by herself. Harry believes this lack of response from the family was a significant failure. Despite her very public struggles, Diana's calls for help were either ignored or brushed aside, as if they didn't matter. This left her feeling abandoned in a world where she was already isolated. For someone in her position, dealing with personal and public pressures simultaneously, the absence of any real support made things even harder. To Harry, ignoring Diana's pleas wasn't just neglect, it was a betrayal. It showed that the institution placed more importance on its own image than on the well-being of someone within its ranks. This narrative was echoed in Harry's own experiences, particularly when he and Meghan Markle sought help during their own struggles within the royal framework, only to feel similarly unsupported. Number 3. Restricting her freedom. Princess Diana found herself in a world where every move was closely monitored, and the royal family's strict rules and protocols made it nearly impossible for her to live freely. According to Prince Harry, this was one of the main ways the family betrayed his mother. Diana was constantly expected to follow royal traditions and act according to a rigid set of standards, which left her feeling trapped. From her public appearances to personal relationships, almost every aspect of her life was controlled. Harry believes that these restrictions took a serious toll on Diana's happiness and well-being. She wasn't allowed the freedom to express herself or make her own choices without being scrutinized or judged. Even simple activities like going out in public or spending time with friends were often limited by royal expectations. This sense of confinement weighed heavily on her, leading to feelings of isolation and frustration. For someone like Diana, who had a naturally warm and independent spirit, these restrictions were incredibly painful. Harry has often spoken about how these limitations made his mother feel like she was living in a gilded cage, and he sees this as one of the biggest ways the royal family let her down. In his memoir, Spare, Harry reflects on how these restrictions mirrored his own experiences of feeling trapped within the royal institution, reinforcing his belief in the need for change. Number 4. Media manipulation. Prince Harry has often expressed his belief that the royal family played a key role in manipulating the media narrative surrounding Princess Diana. He thinks they leaked stories to the press that cast her in a negative light, all in an effort to protect the monarchy's image. This was particularly painful for Diana, as she was constantly in the spotlight and under intense scrutiny. Harry feels that instead of supporting her, the royal family allowed damaging stories to circulate, making her life even more difficult. Diana had a complicated relationship with the media. While she knew how to use the press to bring attention to important causes, like her humanitarian work, she also found herself the target of relentless gossip and negative headlines. According to Harry, some of these stories were deliberately placed by the royal family or their aides to shift attention away from their own issues. This media manipulation left Diana feeling betrayed and vulnerable. It added fuel to the fire, intensifying her struggles both in her marriage and in her role within the royal institution. Harry sees this as one of the most significant betrayals, believing that the family chose to protect their reputation at the expense of his mother's well-being. This belief was further fueled by Harry's own experiences, where he felt that negative stories about him and Meghan were similarly fed to the media to distract from other royal issues. Number 5. Lack of protection from the press. One of the biggest challenges Princess Diana faced was the relentless attention from the paparazzi. The media followed her every move, snapping pictures and writing stories, often invading her personal space. Prince Harry believes that despite knowing the pressure Diana was under, the royal family didn't do enough to protect her from this constant intrusion. Instead of stepping in to shield her, they seemed to turn a blind eye, leaving her to deal with the stress alone. The paparazzi were particularly aggressive when it came to Diana, and Harry recalls how his mother's life became a spectacle. There were times when the press crossed serious boundaries, intruding on her privacy and making her feel unsafe. According to Harry, the royal family's failure to address this problem or provide any meaningful support only added to Diana's distress. Harry feels that the lack of protection from the press was a major factor in Diana's struggles. The media frenzy surrounding her life took a toll on her mental health, and the royal family's silence on the matter left her feeling unsupported. This is something that Harry has never forgotten, and it remains one of the reasons he believes the family betrayed his mother. Harry has drawn comparisons between his mother's treatment by the press and his own, especially after the intense media scrutiny he and Meghan faced, which he believes the royal institution failed to adequately address. Number 6. Undermining her public image. Prince Harry strongly believes that the royal family's actions, or lack of them, played a role in damaging Princess Diana's public image. Despite her being adored by millions, there were moments when the royal institution seemed to work against her. Whether through leaks to the press or simply refusing to defend her when false stories were published, their silence often left Diana to fend for herself. This created a narrative that Diana was struggling, when, in reality, she was doing her best to maintain her dignity under immense pressure. Harry recalls how his mother faced harsh criticism in the media, and instead of stepping in to clear the air, the royal family let the stories grow. These negative portrayals made it hard for Diana to hold on to her reputation, and they often fueled public speculation about her mental health and personal struggles. Harry feels that this undermining of Diana's character was not just passive, it was deliberate. For Diana, maintaining her dignity in the face of constant media scrutiny was incredibly challenging. But for Harry, the royal family's inaction, their refusal to protect her reputation, was a significant betrayal. It made her fight an uphill battle, alone, in the court of public opinion. This sentiment echoes Harry's own experiences, where he felt that the family did not do enough to protect him and Meghan from damaging media narratives. Number 7. Failing to address her concerns. Princess Diana's concerns about her marriage and her place in the royal family were often pushed aside, leaving her feeling lonely and ignored. She openly expressed her worries about the state of her relationship with King Charles III, then Prince Charles, but instead of receiving support, her words were often met with indifference. Diana had hoped that her honesty would lead to solutions, but time and again, her concerns were brushed under the rug. Prince Harry believes this neglect was one of the greatest betrayals his mother experienced. Diana wanted to be more than just a figurehead. She wanted her voice to be heard and her role in the family to matter. However, instead of listening to her, the royal family seemed to focus more on maintaining tradition and public appearances. This left Diana feeling isolated and trapped in her royal life. The lack of attention to her emotional well-being only added to her struggles, both in her marriage and as a royal. For Diana, this was incredibly painful. Harry's memories of his mother are filled with a deep sadness over how she was treated when she needed support the most. To him, this dismissal was a clear sign of the royal family's failure to stand by her. This theme of ignoring personal concerns is something Harry has mentioned repeatedly, especially in the context of his and Meghan's challenges within the royal structure. Number 8. Isolation from friends and family. One of the hardest challenges Diana faced was the feeling of isolation from those she loved most. The royal family's strict rules and traditions made it difficult for her to keep close contact with her friends and even her own family. Instead of being surrounded by a strong support system, Diana often found herself alone, with very few people she could truly confide in. This isolation took a toll on her, both emotionally and mentally. Prince Harry believes that these royal expectations were a form of betrayal, as they cut his mother off from the people who cared about her. Diana needed her friends and family more than ever, especially as she struggled with the pressures of royal life and her troubled marriage to Charles. But the constant demands of royal duties and the strict limitations on her personal freedom left her feeling more and more disconnected. Diana longed for normalcy and the chance to reach out to her loved ones without barriers. The royal protocols, however, created a wall between her and the people who could have provided comfort. Harry sees this isolation as another way in which the royal family failed to support his mother during her most difficult moments. This sense of isolation is something Harry has also expressed feeling, particularly after moving to the United States, where he has sought to build a support network away from the royal institution. Number 9. Lack of acknowledgement of her contributions. One of the things that deeply hurt Diana was the royal family's lack of acknowledgement for her efforts. Despite her immense contributions to charity and her dedication as a mother to Prince William and Prince Harry, Diana often felt overlooked. She poured her heart into causes like raising awareness for AIDS and the fight against landmines, yet her hard work rarely received the appreciation it deserved within the royal household. Prince Harry believes this was one of the greatest betrayals. His mother wasn't just a public figure. She was a woman who truly cared about the well-being of others and used her platform to make a difference. But rather than recognizing her for these achievements, the royal family remained mostly silent. Diana was also a hands-on mother who fought to give her sons as normal a childhood as possible. She didn't want them to grow up feeling detached from the real world. Yet even in this role, her efforts were often downplayed by the institution, leaving Diana feeling unappreciated and unsupported. For Harry, this lack of recognition for his mother's kindness and dedication is something he has never forgotten. This lack of acknowledgement resonates with Harry's own feelings about his charitable work, which he felt was often overshadowed by royal protocols and traditions. Number 10. Pressure to conform. Diana faced constant pressure to fit into the strict mold of the royal family's traditions. From the moment she married Prince Charles, there were clear expectations for her to behave a certain way, follow royal protocols, and maintain a specific image. But Diana was different. She had her own values, desires, and ways of connecting with people. This clash between who she truly was and the rigid royal standards made her feel suffocated. Prince Harry believes that this pressure to conform was one of the key reasons his mother struggled within the royal institution. Diana wasn't just expected to fulfill her royal duties, she was often told how to act, how to dress, and even how to raise her children. Her unique approach to life didn't always fit within the royal framework, and that made things difficult for her. Instead of being celebrated for her individuality, Diana was often criticized for not always following the rules. For Harry, this constant pressure on his mother to conform left her feeling misunderstood and isolated, leading to further emotional strain. Harry has spoken about how this same pressure to conform was a significant factor in his decision to step back from royal duties, as he too felt stifled by the expectations placed upon him. Number 11. Public criticism. Diana faced public criticism not only from the media, but also from members of the royal family, which deeply affected her. At a time when she was already feeling vulnerable and isolated, hearing negative remarks about her from the very people who were supposed to support her made things even harder. Instead of standing by her, some members of the royal family distanced themselves and, on occasion, publicly questioned her actions and decisions. This criticism wasn't just private, it made its way into public view, with subtle comments and gestures that suggested disapproval. Diana felt betrayed by this behavior. Rather than being uplifted during her struggles, she often felt judged and blamed for trying to handle her difficult situation on her own terms. Prince Harry sees this as one of the biggest betrayals his mother endured. The public scrutiny and lack of support from her own family only added to Diana's growing sense of loneliness, making her feel even more isolated in a role that already demanded so much. This theme of public criticism and lack of familial support has also been a significant part of Harry's narrative, particularly in how he and Meghan were treated by both the media and the royal institution. Number 12. Neglecting her well-being. Prince Harry believes that one of the greatest betrayals his mother, Princess Diana, faced was the royal family's neglect of her well-being. To him, it seemed that the royal family was more focused on protecting the monarchy's image than caring for Diana's mental and emotional health. Instead of offering her the support she needed, they often left her to deal with her struggles alone. Throughout her time in the royal spotlight, Diana openly dealt with personal battles, including mental health issues. Yet, rather than receiving empathy and assistance, she was often met with silence or indifference. Harry feels that the royal family's priorities were clear: keep the institution intact, even if it meant letting Diana suffer in silence. This neglect, Harry believes, took a heavy toll on his mother. In his eyes, she deserved love, care, and understanding, something she rarely received from those closest to her in the royal circle. Diana's health and happiness were often overlooked, and Harry's resentment stems from the idea that her well-being was not as important to the institution as its reputation. This sense of neglect is a recurring theme in Harry's own life, as he has often cited the lack of support for his and Meghan's well-being as a key factor in their decision to step away from royal duties. As we've explored the heartbreaking ways Prince Harry believes the royal family let his mother down, it's clear that the legacy of Princess Diana still deeply impacts him today. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Royal Corner for more eye-opening stories about the royal family. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.